So why are those imperfections in batt insulation so bad? Well, the gaps and spaces dominate the heat loss. No matter how much insulation you pile up next to a gap, the heat loss through the gap is not reduced at all. And the larger your initial R value is, the greater the effect it will have on lowering the R value of the building assembly. In this chart, you can see the effect on walls insulated with batt insulation. The rated R value of the insulation is severely degraded when the batts are installed poorly. And unfortunately, this is the quality of a typical installation. So here's an example to show us how a small area can have a huge impact on the overall performance of a building assembly. You can crunch numbers through a formula called a weighted area average to see this. So imagine we have a 1,000 square foot attic insulated to R38 and 5 square feet insulated only to R1. And this 5 square feet is the attic hatch because the batt sitting on the back of the attic hatch was tossed aside and not put back in place. How is the heat loss through that hatch affecting the overall R value of the entire R38 attic? After all, 99.5% of the attic is still insulated. When you run the numbers, it shows the attic is now performing as if it only had R32 insulation, just because someone forgot to put the batt back in place. So this illustrates that a wall with a lot of little gaps in the batt insulation could have its R value degraded severely. So if you are committed to using batt insulation, it's crucial that it is installed as perfectly as possible, and that means contact with all 6 sides of the stud bay. It should fill the entire cavity without any gaps or voids, and without compression being stuffed behind objects in the stud bay that compresses the insulation and also degrades its R value. Unfortunately, it's often installed like this, not cut precisely around boxes, plumbing, or other objects, compressed behind wires, and gaps that provide line-of-sight pathways from the warm sheetrock to the cold exterior sheathing. Here's another IR photo that shows heat loss because a batt was compressed behind a wire and cold air is leaking through that void, creating a very cold area across the wall. So the easiest way to overcome these challenges is to move over to a different type of insulation. Blown-in wall insulation is an awesome choice. It prevents these voids by flowing around all the objects in the wall during installation and creates a high-quality assembly that performs to its rated R value. It can also reduce air movement by filling the entire cavity so that the insulation is in contact with all 6 sides. Another benefit of blown-in insulation is that for many of the products, you end up with a higher R value. For example, with a 2x6 stud wall, you can end up with as high as an R23. Here are some photos of walls insulated with blown fiberglass behind a fabric netting that is stapled to the studs.